100 years ago, you couldn't miss it. St. Louis was a very German-American city. You could see it and hear it and taste it. There were more than a dozen breweries scattered throughout the city. There were scores of German-American clubs and organizations, and newspapers for all the German speakers, including the mayor himself, Henry Ziegenheim. The major wave of German immigration, though, was already over by 1900. Germans had fit into this city, gained power, made changes, assimilated. And St. Louis was already beginning to lose its German accent.
Schau mal die Bilder an.
Wem gehört dieses Buch?
Ich glaube,
Wer hat meins?
der Erika.
Hast du mein Buch?
Today, ethnic German festivals like the Strassenfest feature the music and dance and food of this once dominant ethnic group. It's non-political and all-inclusive. A German festival is all about Gemütlichkeit, having a good time. But in the 19th century in St. Louis, when people talked about doing things in a German style, it had to do with issues much more serious than how they brewed their beer. Germans first started coming to St. Louis in large numbers in the 1830s and 1840s, and they brought their music with them, and they took it seriously. This photograph was taken in St. Louis in 1850 and is entitled The German Youth Band. From way back then until today, there have always been in St. Louis German musical groups, men's and women's and children's choruses, brass bands, string ensembles. Some of these groups would evolve into what is today the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra. Back then, they played where Germans gathered their families and their friends, in St. Louis's beer gardens. It isn't just the music that defines German ethnic tradition, it's the musical group, the organization. There was a time when the city was filled with all kinds of German music, social, and athletic clubs. The Germans brought to St. Louis their Turnvereins, physical fitness societies that became neighborhood centers, and in St. Louis, centers of political change, especially after the failed German Revolution of 1848 brought new immigrants with new radical ideas. St. Louis's ethnic German organizations teach the young people traditional dances and songs, but the older members wonder what will remain when they are gone.
Certainly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
certainly.
yeah,
The
yeah,
old-timers would be sitting down in the Rathskeller, playing pinochle usually,
Yeah,
and
right,
drinking
right.
beer and speaking in German. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of the
But
old-timers.
the younger people, as we came, we just didn't. Didn't. We heard it at home, but we didn't speak it, among us.
I think World War I knocked a lot of them from talking, from speaking it out in public. I think it was frowned upon.
When the war in Europe started, many German Americans wanted the United States to remain neutral. But America did enter the war, and German Americans, so proud of their patriotism dating back to the Civil War, were forced to prove their loyalty. One price was giving up the Deutsche Sprache, the German language. 19th century German Americans and their organizations and their new ideas really did change St. Louis and helped to shape the split personality identity that in many ways it still has. Liberal and conservative, religious and secular, northern city in a southern state. St. Louis, the city of barbecue and bratwurst.